Okay, I think I'm live. Hi, folks. This is Deepak Shenoy from Capital Mind. I'm just going to do a short take on what we've been seeing recently with IIP and inflation. This is Periscope. Second try at this, so excuse any inconsistencies, problems, and errors that we're obviously going to see. So let me just move my mouse here. Okay. So what is the index of industrial production, the IIP? We saw the data come out yesterday. This is released around the 12th of every month by MOSPI, which is the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. We actually have a ministry like that. Data comes with a 2-month lag, so in January you get the data for November. This actually measures the number of units produced, so not the price. So it doesn't tell you how much India produced in steel in terms of number of crores that steel companies earned, but it actually tells you things like number of tons of steel produced. It generates the number of megawatts generated. So in a way it's more real. So because you can have growth in terms of prices, I can produce 100 units of something and then increase the price next year. So I have 100 units at 100 rupees. I've made 10,000 rupees in 1 year, but I generate the same 100 units the next year. I will increase the price to 120. I make 12,000 rupees. So effectively, I would make 20% more, but actually I've made only 100 pieces of whatever item I've made. So there's no real growth. The composition of IIP, this comes from various sectors. So we've got, electricity, which is the number of megawatts produced or gigawatts produced. Mining, which is obviously the number of tons that we've managed to take out from the earth. These together account for just 24% of the IIP. The rest comes from manufacturing. There's a ton of subsectors of manufacturing. We can go into that at another time, but the bulk of our IIP growth is in manufacturing. So let's then move on to what IIP was this year. And this year, some things were quite funny. So if you can look at this chart, this is actually data coming from there. We've charted it for about 10 years now, about nearly 10 years. It's very wiggly because it's seasonal. You can see that there are wiggles that go up. Sometimes these are typically March of every year. Everybody wants to report a great March because that's the end of every financial year. And there are wiggles sometimes in the middle. I've just plotted last year's data. So IIP is usually measured as the increase of last year over this year. What actually happens and what's actually happened here, and this is the year-on-year growth number, and that's on the right axis. So you can see this is a last month in October it was nearly 10%, and this month it's minus 4%, and people are having a field time talking about how IIP is negative and the world has come to an end and this government is full of itself. Actually, what's really happened is this is because of these two little things over here, are because of the Diwali effect. Diwali last year was in October and this year was in November. When Diwali happens, people take holidays. Those holidays contribute to lower production. So effectively, you get much lower production numbers for the month that Diwali is on. And when Diwali and Dussehra are both in the same month, that happens when Dussehra and Diwali are in October, you get more holidays. So the October data for that year, that was 2014, would actually look really bad. But the subsequent October looks really good because you don't have the Diwali holidays. So that's why November looks bad here, November looks good here, and so on. So this is an anomaly we have to correct. What we've done is we've taken the Diwali in October and November, and we've kind of negated them out and taken the October and November figure. We've taken mining, manufacturing, and electricity, which is the three elements. They have actually grown. I mean, they have not degrown, they've actually grown. The average of these three, if you take the weighted average, it's 3.2% positive, and 3.7% is mining, 2.9% is manufacturing, and 5% is electricity. This is the average growth over the last 2 months. And if you went back a little, we'd see this, this number that is minus 4.4. It's actually plus 3.2. It's not great. I mean, it should be a little higher than this. This is 5%. It'll be somewhere here. So it's not very good, but it's still not negative 4.4%, right? So let's go back and see sectors. You got mining over here, and because of this the data distortion, everything else looks different. We see 2.3% despite the November effect of Diwali, minus 4% for manufacturing. That's not true. It's actually plus 2.9. IIP electricity is, looks low, but it's actually 5%. So just an idea of what the IIP was and why we should ignore some of the elements of this time. I'll just take you to the next part, which is the consumer price index. I keep tweeting about this and I write about this. I thought I'll give a quick introduction. We've got the 12th of every month also releasing the CPI again from MOSPI. This gives it for the month earlier. Prices come in from a consumer basket. The components are, as you can see over here, food, fuel, clothing. Food is the biggest element here. You also got personal care, transport, recreation, which is mostly Twitter, I suppose. But we got a ton of other stuff as well. What we also have for you is the charts. So consumer price inflation, I've again plotted this index which keeps moving up. That's because inflation's been rising. You see this little dip here? That's the good part about this time's figure. The bad part is last year also, well, if you look at last year's December, that's brought here, this was also a dip. So when I plot it here for 1 year back, this distance has increased. So inflation's gone up to 5.6. But if this slide were to continue forward, we'll see that last year it wasn't so bad. After that dip, it kind of flattened out. So if this dip continues, we are going to continue to see falling inflation. So hopefully this 5.6%, which is a more than a year, about 13-month high, it will actually start dipping here from going on forward. Another piece that also excites us is looking at individual components. What's been responsible for inflation? 5.6% again is everything. You've seen food come up quite a bit, fuel, because we've been taxed so much by the government in terms of excise duty that keeps going up. Crude is at an all-time or at least a 10-year, 15-year low. We are still seeing our fuel prices fairly high. The inflation there is actually 5% plus. Housing also went up. The clothing was lower, education was lower, medical and transportation again as a result of fuel, so that's also up. So we've got a bunch of stuff over there. Here's also another look at CPI when you try to remove food away. So if you've got food and you got the food itself is about 6%, but if you did removed food and removed fuel, you would end up with only 4.47, and this is not a number that seems to be increasing quite a bit. This is fairly well under control. So if you assume that food prices will stabilize, then yeah, the rest of the inflation in the system is not too bad. Also, the good part about inflation this year is you look at the month-on-month CPI annualized, so that's still it's actually negative territory, but you should kind of look at the trend, not the number. The trend is still downwards. Quarter-on-quarter inflation, they take 3 months ago, that's still lower. So we hope that these numbers kind of give you an idea of what inflation's been like. We do a different set of analysis. Hope you liked what we had. You can tweet out any, I don't know how this works, so if you can tweet out anything that you'd like me to answer, I could do that. And yeah, that's me. So hi folks, all it's all dressed up and stuff, but yeah, this is me signing off from Capital Mind. Hope you enjoyed this Periscope. I look forward to more. Tell me on Twitter what you'd like to hear, and we'll make some short videos on them. Hope you like this. Cheers. How do you switch this off?
But you just stand.
Yeah.
Taking too much.
No, the thing is swipe down to stop. Okay.